Hello everyone, Mipa here, trying to make your Monday a little better and maybe even something to look forward to. We are here with another episode of My Dreams Vanda's Nightmare. You can see here we have the colors I will be using for this video, and other than that, I don't have much to say other than I hope you enjoy, especially since you all seemed to love the last one so much. Vanda has been traveling for a bit. She didn't know exactly where she was heading other than away from her home so she could keep the family she had to leave behind safe. It had been a week of walking through towns and cities and streets with nothing but her saved up allowance and whatever she could fit in her backpack. Obviously, she was tired, but she'd gained some cardio running from the beast for so long. She had to keep walking, finding alleys to rest in, and if she really wanted a good night's sleep, she'd pay for one night at the cheapest place she could find. Luckily, none of these places questioned why a 12-year-old was buying a place to stay. One day, as she's passing through a small town, a smaller boy runs up to her, keeping up with her fast pace. "I haven't seen you around," he stated. "I know all the kids around here, but not you. Who are you?" He seemed a little suspicious, but excited to see a new person. Vanda explained that it made sense he hadn't seen her because she was only visiting. But she didn't want to explain who she was without knowing who he was. The boy gave in and gave his introduction. "Fine, I go by Fellow." "Fellow?" Vanda questioned. That didn't seem like an actual name, but Fellow told her that was the only name he'd gone by for years, so take it or leave it. Vanda went with it and said people called her Flower. Fellow laughed and replied by telling her to follow him. Vanda asked why and found at some point it had turned from Fellow following Vanda to Vanda now following Fellow. Fellow smiled, knowing she was going to follow him either way. Fellow led Vanda to a school. They had to sneak in as the place was surrounded by fighters. Vanda tried to ask why they had to sneak in, and Fellow said you never know who you can or can't trust as he gave her a questioning look. Only then Vanda realized she was following a complete stranger, even after all that had happened to her. Even then, when they got into the school, Fellow and Vanda were instantly stopped by kids dressed like they were prepared for war. One who had a leader role but couldn't be older than 17 stepped out from the crowd. She asked why Fellow was there, as he wasn't supposed to come back from scouting for another week. "I know, but look at her," Fellow replied, which you can see in the image I'm drawing here. "There's something about her. She could be helpful, I know it. She doesn't have anywhere else to stay. Please?" Wanda tried to interrupt, but the girl spoke to her first. Her name was Anya, and she was willing to let her stay as long as she followed orders. Even though Vanda was reluctant, Fellow urged her to agree, so she did. So Fellow showed her around the school and gave her her uniform, as seen here, and explained how this school used to be like any other school until kids started disappearing for weeks before coming up on the news for being caught as murderers. Anya said that a doll had attacked her once too, trying to make her like those poor kids, but she managed to keep hold of her identity long enough to deny them. Then the kids that had vanished and turned came back to attack the school, and they took out all the teachers before the kids fortified the school. And along with that, as if things weren't bad enough, anyone from the town that didn't go to the school couldn't seem to remember the school or anyone that went there existed, leaving the students defenseless and homeless other than whatever they had in their small school. It seems that they work for someone called the Boss, so we work for Anya and call ourselves the Little Fighters, Fellow finished. So now Vanda was a member of the Little Fighters. Fellow seemed to know that this was exactly what Vanda had wanted: a home, companions, and a way to help others. Knowing that he was truly helping her, he kept fighting to let her stay. But as seen here, Anya wasn't the most happy about it. She and Fellow knew that those beasts were after Vanda and that they came from the boss, the being they were truly trying to defeat. Fellow truly believed Vanda could be helpful though. Everyone knew there was something about her, something different, that even the boss knew was there. So they had to give her a chance at least. Like Fellow happily discovered, Vanda had made some friends. The kids at the school loved her, and within a month, she knew everyone, and everyone knew her. She always had a friend or companion with her when taking down or capturing the boss's servants, and everyone loved that she was different from them, both in attitude because she was from somewhere else, and her aura that everyone seemed to notice except her. She wasn't there for the childhood memories though, which made certain jokes hard to understand. And even though the other kids always told her it was a good thing, one could understand it's hard to enjoy being so different and not understanding everyone else's references. Especially when people would point it out to someone as if she wasn't there. But her closest friend always was and always would be Fellow. That was until he got very sick. While on the battlefield, Fellow had been hit with some poison that no one knew how to heal. It was something only one of the boss's beasts could dare create. Fellow was slowly dying and getting sicker every day. Fellow's fate weighed Vanda down extremely for multiple reasons. One, she felt it should have been her instead, as she knew it came from the witch that had been hunting her down for the past 2 years, and assumed she had been aiming at her. 2, Fellow was the reason she was here and was the family she had to leave behind, and now it was like she was losing her family again. So, in the little time he had left, Vanda kept visiting him, and when it was finally his time to go, she somehow got some of the dark poison on her hand. She knew that she may actually be saying "see you later" to Fellow instead of goodbye. Sadly, that is where I will be leaving it off for today. I know that this video is a little short, but it seems that is kind of going to be how it ends up from now on. The next episode of MDVN will probably be longer than this anyway, which it will actually be a part 2 to this. So if you enjoyed this, I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy the 3rd episode, which is part 2 of this, as well. So, that's all I really have to say. Hope this wasn't too big of a cliffhanger for you guys, but you'll still want to see the next one. So I'm going to leave it here. I hope you all have a great week, and goodbye!